Welcome back to the Andrea Giovino Show. Continue to subscribe, and we're going to jump into a friend of mine. He was in the music industry and went from that, how corrupt everything is, right into crime. So I'm going to turn it over to Storenzo, and Toby is back here as our podcaster. Storenzo, you got the floor I'd love for you to tell my subscribers how it all intertwines, music and crime in the streets, actually.
All right.
Hip-hop.
I'll try to break it down. Yep. Well, this is pre-hip-hop if I speak, right? I grew up in the 70s in Brooklyn, New York, and Williamsburg. And it was flooded with gangs, as well as Lower East Side, Bronx. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing happened everywhere. However, the dancing was always intertwined in a sense. There's a style called up rock. At the time, it was called rock, and it's called up rock. Up rock was created by gangsters. It's a street dance where they're emulating fighting.
Mm-hmm. So, oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a big thing now. It's bigger now than it was back then.
So similar to capoeira?
No.
Okay.
Because capoeira was a dance, and that was created for the prisoners to escape, and they used dance as a form of escaping where the situation they were in. This was more of a two guys getting together, dancing with each other, emulating, stabbing each other, shooting each other, fighting each other. Mm-hmm. And it was called rock. Okay. Still, it's really big now. When we were kids, we all did it. You grew up in the street, you're a part of it. However, in 1979, I went to high school after I got left back. And I got introduced to this style called Loft, L-O-F-T. It started at the Garage and at the Loft by Dave Mancuso. Actually, Lower East Side. Well, Prince and King. But I got introduced to that dance. It changed my life around because I was cutting school. I was dealing with still, gangs, street gangs. In New York City or in Brooklyn, you had sweater gangs. You ever heard of the sweater gangs?
No.
The Puerto Ricans and the blacks.
Okay.
So what they did is they went from being street outlaws to sweater gangs, back to street outlaws, wearing colors or cuts.
These are gangs.
These are the street gangs.
Okay.
So, 79, I got introduced. I was cutting class. I was going to this one particular spot in Brooklyn, and all the bad kids went, but this is where I saw this particular dance. Started hanging out, dancing, became a really good dancer, changed my life around. Then I went to Barnes International, started going to the Garage, to the Loft. However, all the bouncers were drug dealers.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. The club that I'm speaking to you about was run by drug dealers. So it was a place of hope or a sanctioned place where you can go there and feel at ease, but it was run by drug dealers. So at the end of the day, you're still surrounded by these people. Long story short, going forward, after that, I got into the rap game. So now I'm doing rap in 1989, 80, 88, 89, because I had retired dance probably in 83, 84. Got back into the rap game, and started doing that. That's when I got involved again with the wrong people, and the crime started coming back in.
So when you say the rap game, were you rapping or?
I was in a rap group.
Okay,
my buddy, his name was Majesty, Francisco Nunez. He was he was my partner in rap. We did the Apollo Theater. We had done stuff. We did a CD. We had a video that we had shot. The video came out on Video Music Box. Okay. So we were starting to get up there.
So you were doing shows. You were making some money.
We did shows. Yeah, we were doing shows, making money. And then it turns out my manager was probably the third biggest drug dealer in Brooklyn. And how do you pick a manager? Because they're the ones that have the money to back you.
So you were probably idolizing,
because
you were looking up to them?
I didn't idolize them because we all grew up together.
Okay.
And we kind of knew each other. But at the time, if you were in the game, you got together with someone that was, because they could financially back you up.
Right. And it could lead you into other
could
things
lead-
to make you money.
to make us money.
Right,
Right.
right.
And not that I went into it thinking I was going to make illegal money, because at the time I was already dealing with guns. I was, I was
So while you were in the rap group, that was when you were dealing with the guns.
I was dealing with guns. I was going back and forth and from here to Florida and selling a lot of
Was
guns here.
that primarily with Puerto Ricans?
It was primarily Puerto Ricans and some blacks, but it was primarily Puerto Ricans. Puerto Ricans was it was a big underground gang movement with the Puerto Ricans.
Yeah.
I know that Italians get it all the time, the mobsters.
Right.
But the Puerto Ricans
I
were
know.
big.
And we need to, that's why I really wanted to have you come on, because we really need to tell a lot of those stories about the Puerto Ricans back in the day, and even, how they came up and what they went through, and their stories aren't really out there, and there's stories to be told. And that's why I thought your story was unique, because how it came from the music, and then we're going to get into, we can't do it all on this show, but we're going to do another episode of the crime part of it, and have the audience understand how it led you into more crime.
So tell us back on the music. So you started out, you started doing the shows. You were running some guns, making some money that way. You were making some money doing the shows
Right.
with the rap.
And I was performing. The truth is, I had a goal. My goal was always to be an actor.
Okay.
That was my goal. Believe it or not, even you're from the street, you still have.
So you're an
dreams.
entertainment guy. You were dancing, you were rapping,
and I
you
wanted
were
to be an actor. And and even though I was in gangs,
You still could be an actor.
I know. Yeah,
We know a lot of people that do the movies
Never
and
really
stuff.
too late, but you just kind of veer off and start doing other stuff. But I grew up in Williamsburg, like I said, and we had a diverse group of people. You know some of the people that I know.
Yes.
We all skated. Back in if you remember the 70s, if there were skating crews.
Yes.
So that's another thing that I want to affiliate, going back, how it intertwines with gangs. When you think of this, in the 70s, we went from rocking to loft to
Garage.
to right, that loft style, and then from that you had dance crews and you had skating crews. Now, if you look at any pictures, which I do have pictures, all of these crews wore shirts or sweatshirts that represented the name of the crew, like Freestyle Rollers, doing it on.
Okay.
And it was the same formation that was built on these sweatshirts, were as if you were representing a gang, a street gang, right? Back in the day, they had the patches that said whatever the name was on top, the representation of your city in the bottom, and your center patch. It's the same thing we did with the dance. I had Lawf Unlimited.
Okay.
That was one of my crews, and then I had TMF, the Magnetic Force. And I got my patches. It said TMF, the Magnetic Force, and everything was gang style, the style of gangs. That's what I meant to say. Everything was done like the style of gangs, and everything was run like a gang.
When did you notice, being in that there was illegal stuff going on? Like,
We've always known it. You said this earlier, product of our environments.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is, like you were saying earlier, and I really didn't agree to it, or I didn't say anything on it. I remember being 11 years old, seeing there was two rival gangs that used to rumble, and they always ended up rumbling on my block. And I used to sit out the window, and that's what I wanted to be.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I wanted to be a gangster.
because that's what you were seeing.
And then they would make these bicycles. They call choppers. They
Yes,
cut the
I
fronts
remember
and they
that,
made the
yeah.
choppers.
And
believe
that's
it-
what was popular.
And I idolized that.
Yeah.
There's a cover. It's from the '60s. It's called "The Paragons Meet the Jesters." On the front cover, there's two gangsters on it, dressed like outlaws. It has nothing to do with outlaws. It has to do. They try to present it as two doo-wop groups going up against each other. On the front cover, there's two white gentlemen dressed as bikers. The groups was the Paragons and the Jesters that were black. But you see the influence?
Yes.
It's all
Yes,
gang related.
It's all gang related.
When these guys started singing in the street corners, the gangs were already there. In the 60s and the 50s, in Brooklyn, you had all the gangs. And the music always intertwined with it. always intertwined with
And
this.
you always have drugs with it. There's
What,
always
we all
drugs.
did drugs.
Everybody
Everybody
did drugs.
did drugs. You saw guns.
Big back then was big cocaine. A lot of
Cocaine was big, and pot. Everybody smoked.
Oh, everybody smoked pot.
Everybody
Yeah,
smoked pot.
but I don't know if you remember too. There was big. I believe I want to say in the 80s, late 70s, 80s was the Quaaludes.
See, we didn't get into Quaaludes. What we did is, we had the pot, the beer, and the cocaine.
The cocaine, yeah.
The cocaine. Now, funny story. Also, when I think I was 12 or 13, one of my cousins, he was an outlaw, and I went out with him. There was a rumble, and since I was 12 years old back in the days, if you got caught with a gun, the cop would smack you and let you go. They couldn't really arrest you.
Okay.
You weren't going to get charged.
Right.
And I remember once there was a rumble. This is in Queens.
Now, where would you get a gun from?
My cousin. At that time, I was 12. He was probably 18, 19.
Was he dealing guns?
No, but
No, everybody had
street
guns.
gangs. Everybody had
Yeah.
guns. Yeah. And I remember after the rumble, we're walking back to our spot. I got pinched because what they did is, at the time they called me Shorty. I put the guns all in my pockets, in my waist, and I'm
Okay.
walking. And I remember one of the cops pulled me over. He said, "Come here," because he knew I had a set on. Pulled me over, grabbed me, didn't search me, just asked me what's going on. Nothing. As I'm walking away, one of the guns fell. One of the guns fell out. Cops got out the car, beat the shit out of me.
Wow. So they
Beat
know
the
Yeah,
shit
back
out
then
of
they
me.
used to do that. I
They
mean, they do it
beat
now,
the
but
shit-
isn't like they used to hit the kids.
No, they beat the shit out of me.
Wow.
Took the guns and let me go.
Okay.
And I remember, mind you, my parents knew nothing about. I had really good parents.
Yeah.
This was a whole summer. I spent the whole summer at my cousin's house recuperating from the bruises, so my parents wouldn't see that.
Wow.
But meanwhile, my cousin was an outlaw.
Yeah.
He's the one that introduced me to the gangs, in a sense.
Wow.
So, how long did you do the rapping for, and when did that stop?
So the rapping probably after I had Law Unlimited and I had TMF, I was doing shows with 92 KTU. We would do their South Street C.
So that's big in New York City,
yeah.
92 KTU.
Yeah, that's a big station in New York City. And I was doing their shows for the summer. They had summer activities at South Street Seaport. My group was one of the dancers that danced with them. So I was really, really, really well known as a dancer. Really well known. It went from the law style dancing to electric boogie. I became a boogie boy. And that's when I really got into the hip hop community. And then from there, I met this gentleman named Francisco. We did a tour with this Dominican band. They knew I was a dancer. They hired me as a dancer to teach this 13-year-old kid or 12-year-old kid, maybe he was younger, Wilfridín. He was a merenguero. He danced merengue. And they put me on tour with them to teach him how to dance, electric boogie. So I was able to go on tour with them to teach the kid how to dance. And I did that for a while. I hooked up with one of the bandmates that he had, and we created a rap group.
Okay.
Let me ask you this, Storenzo. Being in that industry for so many years and knowing the hip hop rap, what do you think about all that's going on in the media right now with the...
I'm just surprised that it took this long to come to light.
Really?
Yeah, because everybody on the ground kind of knows. Like, I was fortunate enough I had meetings with Rick Rubin when they were on Elizabeth and Houston. I had meetings with P. Diddy, to try when I was promoting my rap. And you know what? Now I'm glad I didn't get signed.
Yeah.
Right.
And I didn't get signed.
Because it's just
It's
evil,
an evil
corrupt
business. And
you can't have a soul.
I'll give you a perfect example. In Puerto Rico, you have reggaeton and you have rap. It's huge. And they'll the real people that know the business, they'll tell you there isn't a rap artist from Puerto Rico like Bad Bunny, these big guys, or there isn't a reggaeton artist, and I'm talking about the ones that are getting the Grammys, that their money's not involved with drug dealers.
Wow.
Yeah, the drug dealers are the ones that put them on.
It's all coming down.
Yeah,
They're really infiltrating the rap industry, and
Yeah.
they don't care how big the names are. It's
Well,
all
it's I mean, it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah, but it's-
you look at guys,
Mm-hmm.
Jay-Z, right? Drug dealer, Marcy Projects. You look at 50 Cent, you know, Southside Jamaica, Queens, drug dealer.
Biggie.
You know what I mean?
All these
Biggie.
guys.
Biggie. I used to work at the neighborhood he's from. I'm trying to
even
think of the
Eminem.
neighborhood,
Wasn't Eminem
Right
too?
off of Fulton. He's right in Fulton.
Was Eminem a drug dealer?
I don't
know.
think
He's
Eminem was a
Detroit. I
drug
don't think
dealer.
he
He was
was.
Yeah.
he was from Detroit.
But look at
Eminem was a
NWA.
talented
Look
dude.
at
NWA.
Look at
you know.
NWA. So listen. It's that music comes from street gangs.
Comes from poverty.
And it comes from poverty.
It
does.
comes from
All of
poverty,
it comes
and
from
that's
poverty.
what they do to survive.
Just like doo-wop. If you look at doo-wop, right?
Yes.
You go back to Little Anthony and the Imperials, to all those groups back in the day. Why do you think half of them got hooked on drugs?
Yeah.
It was all.
It was all.
That's what it was.
That's what it was.
It intertwined. It's always intertwined. You know, don't let them fool you. It's.
I just don't
it's in
understand
country,
when
so-
people are making that kind of money, the kind of money like the big names that are in the media right now. Why would you lower yourself to go and, like, even for Diddy to get these charges with kids and
Here's
rape
what
and-
I seen, because
to me it's crazy. Like, why would you do this? You got to be like,
I have my toes dipped in the music industry for a little while,
Okay.
and what I see with a lot of the people in the music industry is they're caught up with the celebrity. They get very impressed and they want to be and
no, but
hang.
but you're missing the point. These are celebrities. They are A-listers.
So getting to what you're saying is, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Tony.
Yeah,
Sure,
go ahead.
Real
go
quick, I don't want to forget the train of thought. They're not going to get caught.
That's
what they
the
think.
arrogance.
The arrogance is, now I got the money,
But
I can
it's
pay my way out of it,
disgusting.
and they're not going to get caught.
But that's the general criminal mindset: is you're
That
not going to
is.
get caught. That's
Right,
the
when you have
mindset
the
of a
money.
drug dealer.
That's the mindset of a criminal.
thief. That's
Yeah.
the mind. Like they
Yeah.
do the acts that they're doing because they believe they're not going to get caught.
I'll quit just in time.
Exactly.
Like me, ironically, I know we're going to get into it in the next segment, but real quick, the day that I got busted in Puerto Rico, and this is on my mom's, my mom's alive, so that was the last trip that I was making. I said it to the uppers because I wasn't.
You said, I don't want to do this no
I
more.
said, this is it. I had my business. I had a beautiful house. I had, I was doing everything right with my money. And that's
the day you got caught.
not the day, like 3 days later. Because
Okay.
I went to PR. 3 days later, got caught.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I just think that anything to do with minors, and luring like kids or animals, to me, they're so innocent that is like evil. It's just so evil. And for them to keep denying his bail, there's substantial
have, of
amount
course.
of evidence.
course, of
People
course.
need to understand that.
And now there's a lot of people backtracking. So
Yes, there's a lot of evidence.
A lot of people are going to get caught. A lot of people.
Yes.
A lot of people going down with this.
I think
It's-
so.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
a lot of people are going to come, this is all going to come to light. Like they said there was another female there. Who is this female? That's going to come out.
Well, I'm not sure how much truth there is to this, but Jamie Foxx just had his show last week, I think.
Uh-huh.
His
I didn't
first show, and they said that Diddy poisoned him.
Oh wow.
It could be. It could be.
Yeah.
It could be. Well, with that, we're going to close out.
Okay.
And because I'd like to go into the next segment of his criminal, what he went through from this industry. Thank you. Subscribe. Thank you so much for continuing to tune in, and we will see you next time.
Hit that subscribe button.
Subscribe.
Hit the button.
Thank
the button
you.
that's right in front of you. Subscribe.
Touch
hit
it.
the button. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
All right.
All right. Then we're just